Recording started.
Hello and good morning to everyone, or good afternoon if you're in a different time zone. Welcome to today's webinar of HVAC Program Accreditation. My name is Larry Chang. I will be your facilitator today. I'm also the coordinator for the Environmental Control Technology Department at Laney College, which is your host for the webinar. And just to give you all some background about us, located in Oakland, California, Laney College has been long committed to career and technical education as part of its mission. We are one of 4 community colleges in the Peralta Community College District, which covers parts of the East Bay of the San Francisco Bay region. The Environmental Control Technology Department offers certificates and AS degrees in residential and commercial HVAC technician training. In addition, we now offer a new program in building automation systems. Again, to kind of get introductions underway, we have the 3 main organizations involved with HVAC accrediting on the call today. And our guest speakers will follow this order. First, we'll have Tom Tebby, who is the National Programs Director of HVAC Excellence. He will be followed by Ed Pravat, who is Director of Workforce Development at the National Center for Construction, Education, and Research. And then he will be followed by Warren Lupson, who is Director of Education at Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, who are one of the sponsors of the Partnership for Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Accreditation. Probably just easier to say PAHRA. So, as part of our group introduction, we've got a small enough group here. If you all would be so kind, just say your name and your school or organizational affiliation, and then we'll take it from there. So don't be shy.
All right, my name is Jim Yako from Delaware Technical and Community College. I'm also here with David LaFazia, which will be our new department chair for Energy HVAC.
Very good.
I'm Bill Hiley from Columbus State Community College, Columbus, Ohio. I'm the coordinator of the HVAC program.
I'm Renee Tomlinson from the ESCO group.
Glad to have you, Renee.
BJ Williams from Prince William Sound Community College in Valdez, Alaska.
And is someone by the name of Jerry on the call?
Yeah, I'm Jerry McKenzie. I'm the HVAC instructor at Nicolay Area Technical College, Rhinelander, Wisconsin.
Welcome, welcome. And how about, let's see, is Karen Keith perhaps on the call?
I am, Larry. Hi, my name's Karen Keith. I work at Pearson in partnership with NCCER.
Okay. And if there's anyone else I've left out, please feel free to chime in.
Hi, Larry. This is George Berghorn from Lansing Community College. Just got on.
Great. Thanks, George. Good to hear from you.
Yeah, likewise.
All right. Well, anyone else, and I'm sure, again, we'll have a few stragglers, and they can introduce themselves when they join. Let's see. So again, welcome to everyone. And just quickly to review our format today, we're going to have all 3 organizations do their presentations first. So if we could hold off on questions until we get to the Q&A session for the second half, I think that would really help. Please use the raise hand button. That's the one with the open hand and the green arrow to the left edge of your display screen. All right, when we get to the question and answer period, and we'll try to get to everyone's questions as time allows. Finally, some people have asked if PowerPoints could be made available later, and all the presenters have graciously offered to make those available, so just let me know if that's something you would like. And as I said earlier, this webinar is being recorded and will be archived for future viewing, so that's something you can share with the rest of your faculty when they get back from all their summer barbecues. And as long as I have you all on the call, if you haven't joined our HVAC and Building Performance Instructor Network, please consider doing so. You can simply call me, send me an email, whatever. There's no cost to be part of this. It is part of our outreach effort under a grant from the National Science Foundation. And, again, we want to be a valued resource to the entire building performance community. So let's see. Hopefully everyone's audio and visual setup's ready to go. So without further ado, I will turn over the podium to Tom Tebby of HVAC Excellence. Take it away, Tom.
Thank you, Larry. The first thing I'd like to do this morning is welcome everyone and thank you for attending this very important seminar. And I'd also like to thank Larry for sponsoring and hosting the accreditation webinar today. I think it's very important to everybody. Our first slide, as you can see, is sort of an introduction of myself, Tom Tebby, National Programs Director. I'd like to apologize for having to put a mugshot up there, but it's always good to get an idea of what the person looks like that you're speaking with. So I decided to go ahead and do it anyway. I would like to tell you a little bit about HVAC Excellence because I think it's important when talking about the accreditation process as a whole, because there are many different elements to accreditation that have to be considered. First off, HVAC Excellence was founded as a not-for-profit organization in 1994 for the purpose of improving the technical workforce of the HVAC industry through quality education. And that was its main goal, and its first objective was to begin a technician certification program. Obviously, after a period of time, that did change. HVAC Excellence is, in fact, a part of the legal entity, the ESCO Group, joined by many other organizations that you may be familiar with, such as the Educational Standards Corporation, ESCO Institute, which is the 608 certifying body, HVAC Excellence, COSA, ESCO Press International, and the Safety Coalition, ACNR Safety Coalition, which primarily deals with the R410A certification that many are familiar with. HVAC Excellence does many different things, and one of them is to verify that HVACR educational programs meet high standards through a programmatic accreditation. That primarily is what I'm going to address briefly today. In 20 minutes, obviously, you're going to get more of an overview, and hopefully we can answer all of your questions at the end of all of the presentations. HVAC Excellence also validates teacher knowledge and competency and curriculum through educator credentialing, which can, depending on the qualifications of instructors as based on Standard 9, become something that would have to be considered by an individual instructor in order for a program to be fully accredited. And of course, HVAC Excellence determines through student outcome assessments that the graduates, in fact, are prepared to enter the HVACR industry. And there are two programs that are available. One is for the secondary schools, which we refer to as the HEAT program, Heating, Electrical, and Air Conditioning Technology, and a program for secondary, post-secondary schools, which we call Employment Ready Certification. And the Employment Ready Certification consists of testing in 6 discipline-specific program areas. And finally, which is not a part of accreditation at all, HVAC Excellence certifies technician knowledge and competence through professional level written exams. And let me just say that there are 14 exams that are available. The only reason I even mention it as a part of accreditation is that we encourage schools that are accredited to set up their facility as a total test site, which means they offer all technician certifications that are available on the market to better serve their constituency. Put all of these together, and the outcome is HVAC Excellence is able to identify areas of weakness in educational programs or in education in general, assist employers with hiring competent technicians, and all of these are obviously goals of the industry today, allow the public to identify competent technicians, pinpoint current deficiencies in the technical workforce for education program development, and hopefully aid manufacturers in reducing warranty cost. Let's talk more specifically about accreditation. Most everybody is familiar with accreditation at the institutional level, but we're going to be talking about specifically programmatic accreditation, which is an independent third-party, non-governmental peer review of an HVACR educational program validating that standards of excellence are met. And in this case, there would be HVAC Excellence standards, and these standards are developed by professionals in the industry, professional organizations, educators, in concert with the U.S. Department of Education and many other organizations. HVAC Excellence has accredited many programs throughout the country, so I figured I would put up a map showing areas of presence throughout the country. HVAC Excellence, I would like to say, is one of the first to offer programmatic accreditation in the country, and we are still one of the leaders in programmatic accreditation. The standards for the accreditation are designed primarily to assure that the future workforce, all of the students that we're training, receive the quality of training required to provide the skills necessary for success in the HVAC industry. And I'm talking today with instructors, department heads, and possibly some administrators. And one thing at HVAC Excellence we never lose sight of, and our primary goal is always the students and the technicians, and to provide what it is they need for success in the industry. The question always comes up, why would I want to have my program accredited? Well, let me just say this up front. Dr. Patricia Stanley, who was the Deputy Director for the U.S. Department of Education, spoke at our conference regarding Perkins 4. I want to make it clear that she did state specifically that accreditation is not a U.S. Department of Education requirement. However, she did point out to the audience that many states are now requiring accreditation. And I would like to say on a personal note, it's about time. Automotive programs have done it for years through NATEF, the welding programs through the American Welding Society, nursing programs, and the like. But what does it do for you? People always ask, if I get accredited, what does it do? Well, the most important thing, in my opinion, is to give students confidence in the HVACR program. And on a personal note, being an instructor for 15 years, and I was also a school CEO at 2 different schools for 15 years, about a 30-year career. And students are always complimentary to their instructor, but the doubt is always in the mind as to whether the quality of the education they're receiving and the equipment that they're working on, is it comparable to other type programs of excellence? And this answers that question for them. It makes them proud and gives a little status to the program. Employers benefit by the assurance that the graduates are properly trained. That includes your advisory committee and other members of the community. Has the potential to increase enrollment. A lot of people say, how? Well, the word gets out. People like to hear that a program is, in fact, nationally recognized. Helps to create goals for professional improvement. Needless to say, that's the reason for the self-study itself. It assists institutions in determining the acceptability of transfer credits. Involves the faculty and staff in the evaluation process, and it's one of several considerations in determining eligibility for federal, state, and private funding. All of these are important, but the most important is what it does for the community and what it does for the students and the other stakeholders that are involved in the HVAC industry. Some other benefits of accreditations for HVAC Excellence. You put all of the different programs that we talked about together, and they guarantee a lot of the things that I've just talked about. We talked a little bit about articulation. Some of my competitors on the phone, we all can boast that the 5-Star Careers will list the school as an accredited program on their website. Also, all students can register for employment through the MSCA. And like many others, we do have an articulation agreement with the UA Apprenticeship Program, and the guidelines for that can be found on our website, which I will give to you at the end of the presentation. It's an excellent opportunity for students to get, if they choose to work for a union shop, advanced placement into the apprenticeship program. The process is very simple. You call 1-800-394-5268 and request an application. Or you may go online to www.hvacexcellence.org and download an application if you so choose. Complete and submit the application. Step number 3, when the application is received, you'll receive a packet. The packet will contain the accreditation manual with all of the instructions as to how to complete the self-study, along with the fees, the time frames, and other information that you'll need, along with a welcome letter from HVAC Excellence as part of our team. At that point that you receive your accreditation manual and the application is received, an accreditation team member will be assigned to aid you through the process. And I think this is one of the things that stands out with HVAC Excellence, is that we have a seasoned professional that will work with you through the self-study process as often as you need and easily accessible, no menu-driven phone calls, one individual that can answer any questions you have as you're writing your narratives or gathering your evidence to complete the self-study. The self-study itself consists of 9 standards. Now, a little bit about the 9 standards. You'll notice I highlighted 5, 6, 7, and 9. And the reason I'm going to brush over 1, 2, 3, 4 at this point is they very much mimic what you would expect to see on an institutional accreditation, which all of you have gone through. The programmatic accreditation, obviously, is going to focus more on the design of the program, the delivery of the program, physical facilities, equipment, and tools. I would like to answer one common question now. Is there a specified list of equipment and tools? And the answer is no, because we're going to be checking to make sure that the equipment and tools that you have satisfy what you have in your stated curriculum. So there's no need to do that because of different regions. Some people are teaching oil, gas, some are teaching geothermal. So we leave it up to the school to specify their curriculum and then guarantee that they have the equipment, diagnostic, and hand tools available to complete that training. Instructors' qualifications in all organizations and within in the industries, there's an emphasis on improving instructor qualifications, making sure that the instructors, in fact, do have access to programs that will give them teaching knowledge and experiences and so forth, and you'll see that has been incorporated more into Standard 9 than ever before. After you've completed the self-study, you submit it to the review committee. The self-study is reviewed by the committee, and at that point, you'll have 2 team members assigned, and they will both be talking back and forth to make sure that each of the standards, in fact, have been satisfied, all of the necessary evidence or documentation, exhibits have been presented, because the intent here is to make sure that everything, in fact, is in place prior to an on-site visit, which just verifies, in fact, that everything is in place, gives an opportunity to view the physical facility and the equipment on hand. Upon approval of the self-study, the visiting team will be assigned to actually make the visit. It'll be scheduled, as number 9 says, and then the one-day on-site evaluation is executed and completed. The review committee meets with the administration, not the review committee, but the on-site team will meet with the administration and the instructor and whomever else the administration deems appropriate for an introductory conference. And at the end of the day, all of the findings of the visiting team will be presented to all present at that exit conference meeting. The recommendation that the team plans to make to the review committee will also be stated at that conference. The final determination is then made by the review committee to grant accreditation, and then the program becomes officially listed on the HVAC directory. This is just some pictures I threw in so that you could see on the team visit that we do visit extensively with the administration. One of the team members will do that. We also visit with the students. We're also required to visit with at least one member, the chairman of the school's advisory committee, and then, of course, finalize our report. Once the program is accredited, I thought you might like to know that you do receive a nice banner to place outside the program area, 2 feet by 3 feet, a nice brass plaque to place in the instructor's office. We do press releases both at the national and local level. The advisory board members, all of your advisory board members are then placed, on our newsletter listing. We list your program on the HVAC Excellence website. We send a nice letter to the State Department of Education, congratulating them on the fine program in their area. And, of course, you're granted the right to use the HVAC Excellence logo. As not to use up the full 20 minutes, I would like to just say that to give the personal touch, the 1-800 number that you see on the screen, of course, is the main office in Chicago, and that's where you can reach Renee. If you want to speak to Tom Tebby personally and have any questions, all you have to do is dial 1-877, and it's the same number. My office is 877. The Chicago office is 1-800. And on the HVAC Excellence website, you can download the entire PowerPoint presentation, which is about 35 slides that go into more specifics about the requirements for each of the standards. So with that, Larry, I'm going to turn it back over to you. And once again, thank everyone for participating in today's webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Actually, you do have a few more minutes if there's anything else you'd like to say as part of your wrap-up.
Well, I didn't want to get too commercial, Larry. So,
okay.
So no, I'll leave it there. We're very proud of all of the schools that we have worked with throughout the country, and we just to give some numbers, we have passed the 150, 160 mark, and I would like to say that accreditation, like technician certification, at this time is voluntary. And what has happened now, in the beginning, I think for all organizations, it was very slow getting schools to come on board. But the more come on board, the more want to come on board. And we've reached that point now where I think we're all a little overwhelmed. It always starts, accreditation or certification, with the cream of the crop making an application first. But now a lot of states are requiring that their programs become accredited, particularly when it comes to funding. So it's beginning to be very popular. I would just like to ask everyone that's on this conference call to look at all of the programs that are being presented, and as always, choose the one that best suits the needs of the students that you serve, because that's the most important thing that I can possibly say. And if HVAC Excellence can help you in any way reach your goals, we're certainly here to do that. Thank you, Larry.
All right. Thank you very much, Tom. Now we'll move on to Ed Pravat of NCCER. So, Ed, if you're ready, feel free to go ahead and advance the next slide and go ahead and get it underway.
I appreciate it. Thanks, Larry. I'm here with a couple of my team members at the Workforce Development Group here at the National Center. And I'm going to talk about what we do, of course, accreditation and how we do it. We're a little bit different than some of the others that we accredit not only our HVAC program, but our other programs as well. So I'll kind of talk about the National Center in a broad scope, and then talk about our accreditation process a little bit more thoroughly. But We are a not-for-profit education foundation. We're based here in Gainesville, Florida. The reason for that is we have the education affiliate with the Rinker School of Building Construction here at the University of Florida. And the reason for the Rinker School is that the Rinker School of Building Construction is the oldest building construction program in the country, and it's the largest building construction program. And so what that does as far as that research side, it gives us the education and research backing that we need from a major university. And then as the not-for-profit, the resources that includes is that accreditation process. It is very thorough. The instructor certifications, of course, the standardized industry-driven curricula that is written by subject matter experts, our nationally recognized skills assessment, and those assessments are designed to evaluate journey-level skills, and then those industry-recognized credentials and certification, and then we have a group here that works with us very heavily on our career and recruiting tools. So our mission is very simple. It is to build a safe, productive, sustainable workforce of craft professionals. This seems to be kind of not formatting appropriately, but I'll read it as we go through. But it is to build a safe and productive, sustainable workforce of craft professionals. That's all we do. We don't have any other agendas other than to work with the industry. As I said, we are not-for-profit. We're founded by the construction industry and by and large funded by the construction industry. These are our founding contractors. These are some of the larger contractors, not only in the U.S., but in the world. Austin Industrial, large industrial contractor out of Houston. BE&K is now part of the KBR construction family. As you can see, Bechtel, Beacon. Bechtel is the largest contractor in the U.S. The Bechtel is the union side. Beacon is the open shop. Then Fluor, Kellogg, Brown & Root. And as you look down through there, you'll see the larger contractors in the U.S. that demand NCCER training and certifications for their craft workers. And then as you look at as our board of trustees, the folks that guide us through our process and procedures and our training methods and our credentialing and accreditation methods, as you see, there's some of the larger contractors in the U.S. as well as owner groups, DuPont, ExxonMobil, Shell, Intel, University of Florida Rinker School, of course, Skills USA for the largest student organization for career and technical education. Tim Lawrence is also on our board. So these are the folks that guide us as a not-for-profit in the direction that they want us to go to meet the needs of our industry. So when you look at the partner base, just about everybody that trains in not only career and technical education, but also in industry training is a partner of the National Center. ABC, Associated Builders and Contractors, AGC, Associated General Contractors. They have some obvious philosophical differences as far as open shop and labor. We make no differences. We kind of say we're Switzerland. Everybody is welcome here. We supply training and our method and our curricula to not only the open shop contractors, to, of course, labor as well. And then you have those partners that are associated with education, the Association for Career Technical Education, Association for Skilled and Technical Sciences, Skills USA, National Association of Minority Contractors, National Association of Women in Construction. So CURT, Construction Users Roundtable, they are all partners of the National Center. So as we move forward, our involvement as far as our training our credentialing, our certifications, our accreditation really pretty much touches all facets of government, industry, and education, from everything from state and local workforce agencies, youth, field, job corps, military, corrections, to education, secondary, post-secondary, career academies, and then on the industry side, owners, contractors, all the way down to organized labor, energy groups, as well as the shipbuilders. So we have developed training methods, curricula, and the process for accrediting and credentialing those organizations. Then when you look at our accreditation growth, there are about 500 plus accredited training sponsors. They are in all 50 states, 18 countries around the world utilize our process. And so at any given time, about 400,000 people per year are going through some form of NCCER training. And then about 300 of those 500 also have journey level assessment centers that evaluate the talents of incoming workers, incumbent workers, etc. And then through that process, there are about 3,500 public schools that utilize NCCER training through their career and technical programs. And the process and how that accreditation process works for us, and is very similar on some levels to the other folks here today, but also have a few differences in that is unique to us. The organizations that become accredited are contractors, owners association, government agencies, etc. And we have two totally different types of accreditation, and those are for the training sponsors and for the assessment centers. And I'm going to talk about the training side today, particularly because it would, I think, be more appropriate for the folks here, that those training facilities and training sponsors, when we're talking about industry training, it's accredited training units, and those are contractors, job site, plants, etc. Then they also, a number of our folks that are accredited through us have mobile training units that go out onto the job site, that go out throughout the industry and train. And then there's that other group that's the accredited training and education facilities. We call those ATEFs. And those are the high schools, colleges, and universities that get an additional level of audit to ensure that they meet the standards of our industry, so that we know that when they're training with NCCER, their instructors are certified, their facilities meet the levels that our industry requires, and so they get an additional oversight. And then when you look at how our training and certification works, is on the training side, you have that entry-level person, that craft person that comes in. They go through the NCCER core curricula, and then they go into any of those 60 crafts. HVAC, of course, is one of those 4-year programs. It is written to meet all the federal guidelines for apprenticeship training. It meets that 144 academic hours. When you combine that with the 2,000 hours of OJT, that's what meets those government regulations for compliance for apprenticeship program. And now we also have a 40-hour green topics in HVAC. It is it's approved by the GBCI for 40 hours of for their continuing education credits. That's just one of our 60. So when we talk about HVAC, it's one of that of many of the curricula, but it's all the accreditation is the same process, the same procedure, and then there's a certification of completion on the training side, and then on the assessment side, that journey level craft worker comes into our industry, or is it someone that hasn't had the opportunity for formalized training, takes our assessments? If they pass the written, they get a certification. If they pass the performance, they get a certification. If they take the written and performance, it's Certified Plus. DuPont, Exxon, Shell, Sunoco, they require that their craft workers are Certified Plus. Now, what happens if they take that journey level assessment and they do not pass it? There is a remediation process so that they can come back over to the training side, remediate that deficiency, and then come back over and reassess. And so the way we do it with instructor certification on the training side, every sponsor has a master trainer. That master trainer is the classic train-the-trainer program. It is a week-long process that they go through our training. We use a third party to teach that, and it is how to work in harmony with the National Center, how learning occurs, how to set up a classroom appropriately, those types of things. Then that master instructor goes back to the classroom or to the company, and they identify that journey level craft professional that's going to teach that craft, be it HVAC, carpentry, millwright, pipe fitter, what have you. Then they go through the 24-hour process that master trainer has learned so that they understand how to work with the National Center, how to set up those classrooms. Because one of the things that a lot of our industry folks, they have great skills in their craft, but they need some help to be adequate and professional in the classroom. So we have assistants there, and then they go in and teach that craft professional that then generates that wallet card that we require in our industry. And then on the other side, on the assessment side, is through an administrator, coordinator, proctor process. That administrator is also a master trainer and has those 8 additional hours, so it is a week-long training program. Then they train the coordinators, and then those coordinators can then, in fact, train the proctors that give those journey-level assessments. So when you look at our curricula, we've had the green topics, as you see, on HVAC. I just put up a few sustainable curricula. One is supervision of green construction projects, power line. And of those 60 disciplines, it's the craft training, of course, energy, sustainability, safety, pipeline, management. And so our curricula is competency-based. It is modular in format so that it is can be used on an apprenticeship style, but it can also be used as task training. All of that is, again, done through that certified organization, through that credentialed organization, and all of the curricula has a written and performance process to ensure that that person not only gets it academically, but they also understand that everything trickles down to the end of the fingertips, and they can, in fact, do the performance. And then they all go into our national registry. We have about 7 million modules in our registry to date, and that registry can be accessed by the sponsor and or the craft professional that has those credentials. So when you look at our craft training and our curricula, we also have that online. We have a variety of it, our basic safety, and some of our more popular titles that are used particularly in secondary and post-secondary and career college programs. And it's designed to be part of a complete training package. It's never been designed to stand alone. What it's designed to be is part of a learning platform, a teaching platform that student can have multiple opportunities to learn, allows that student to remediate on their own, accelerate some of their training. If they're going to miss a class, they can always get it online. Those types of things that really give additional value. And then all of our registry, it's all automated. It's called the ANR, the Automated National Registry. When any student goes through our training program that's been taught by an accredited sponsor, a certified instructor, of course, that craft worker, that craft professional gets the blue wallet card. And as you can see, the green circle there, they can go to NCCER.org, click on virtual wallet card, put in their number on their wallet card and then their PIN number, and it'll generate a transcript anywhere in the world. So they can go to any employer at any time and validate and document exactly what they know, and every module that they've completed successfully is on that transcript so that they can use that to validate exactly what they know anywhere around the world. And, you know, my name, again, is Ed Pravat. All my contact information will be on this, and I understand that you will post this. So my cell number's on there as well as our toll-free number. Our website is NCCER.org. We invite you to go to it. There's a ton of information on there on not only what we do, why we do it, how we do it, but additional information as far as competencies, objectives, lesson plans, those types of things that would benefit the instructor. So having said all that, I'm pretty easy to get a hold of. If you have any questions or would like to speak with me one-on-one, please feel free to do so. Larry?
Thank you very much, Ed. You also have a few minutes left if there's something else you'd like to add.
Well, the only thing that I'd add to that is that I'm going to echo what I think everybody has said and will say is it's all about credentials for us in our industry. A training program, and you don't offer a credential, you didn't teach it. It doesn't meet Perkins requirements. It doesn't meet industry requirements. And if you want to raise the bar for career and technical education, if we in fact want to fundamentally change how craft training and career and technical education is taught in our country, it has to be tied to an industry recognized credential. So I urge anyone to have a program that is certified, that's credentialed. And I'll echo what the first speaker said. I don't, you know, if it's us, that's great. But long as those programs are credentialed and certified and those instructors have certifications and those young people come out of those programs with a credential, if they don't do that, they really are selling themselves short. They're selling opportunity short for students. And I think any program that doesn't offer a credential, you know, I just don't think that they have value.
All right. Thank you very much, Ed. And finally, we will hear from Warren Lutson, who will talk about the process with PAHRA.
Thank you. You know, I have to echo what Ed and Tom has said. Industry credentialing is probably the most important thing that there is today. And the White House is saying it, Department of Education, Department of Labor. It is becoming more and more important that we do credentialing and that the students coming out of these programs have portable credentials that will travel anywhere in the United States so they maintain their jobs. I'm going to go ahead and you know, start off and just give you a little idea who PAHRA is. The PAHRA is the Partnership for Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Accreditation. It is an independent third-party organization that is in partnership between heating, ventilating, air conditioning, and refrigeration educators, programs, and the HVACR industry. And they will award accreditation to programs that have met or exceeded industry-validated standards. You know, and the purpose of PAHRA is to improve the quality of training offered at all levels of education by meeting or exceeding established industry standards in the heating, ventilating, air conditioning, and refrigeration industry. Through the PAHRA program, employers of HVACR graduates be assured that the students have met minimum competency levels required for graduation and certification as determined by the HVAC industry and its associations. And pretty much just like everybody else has spoken about, accreditation is very important. It doesn't matter which one of us you go to. I think it's important for your programs to be accredited. I'm just going to give you a couple of quick steps on, how PAHRA does theirs, and then I'm hoping that we have plenty of time to answer questions from all three of us and show you the importance of your schools being accredited through one of our programs, no matter which one. To start off with, I guess the question I always get is, why get accredited? And my question to everybody is why you would not want to be accredited, why you would not be proud of your program to show that it meets or exceeds standards of the industry. This was a survey that I found that from 1999 that still holds true today, and that is the public is, has preference to institutes that were accredited and believe that the education received would be of a higher quality. And that holds true even today. As Tom mentioned, Dr. Pat Stanley will tell you that in a heartbeat, how important that is. Programmatic accreditation gives each educational facility staff a chance to compare and evaluate their programs. Staff at institutions be able to find their weaknesses and strengths and make changes or modifications to meet industry standards, which I believe is a very important item. So what do you do next? Just with PAHRA, our procedures. All right, the first step is to either contact PAHRA or myself. I put my number up there, all right, to receive the necessary documents that you need. All right, PAHRA will then send you the information that contains the standards and the requirements. You'll be able to do and review everything. All right. These standards were adopted and validated by HVAC industry manufacturers, wholesalers, professional contractors, and educators. So, the standards have been written based on what the industry felt was the needs. Okay. Now, if you look at the information, that we send and say, no problem, then let's go for it. And again, it doesn't matter which one of ours that you're looking at. I think it's important for you to review all of ours. All right? Then the step 2 is to start the process, and like HVAC Excellence, you have a direct contact. You contact me first, and then we will send somebody to be your contact from that day forward to work you through whatever you need any help with. All right? The important part of it all is to communicate. Talk with the other instructors that have gone through the process. Keep in touch. Don't be afraid to ask for help and guidance. All of us are here to help you achieve your accreditation. All right? Okay? Don't get caught in saying the following, like, my students can't pass ICE. And for people who don't know what ICE is the industry competency exam that was put together by the industry and with AHRI, or the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, is just one of the tests that's an assessment test. Right? It is not the only one that's required or has to be used. All right? My program may not meet those required standards. That's a possibility. Let us help you get past that point and get you to where you do meet the required standards. Probably the biggest question I always have, this is too much work. I don't have the time to do it. I can't pass ICE. My students can't pass ICE. Where do we go? And I think it's important for the instructors to understand and the people doing the paperwork, it is a tedious, hard job to fill out all this paperwork, but it's a big reward at the end. All right? The third step is to start your official evaluation, And just like the others, there's a number of things you'll be compared to in different areas that you have to fill. And that is, what is the purpose, the administrative area, financial, student services, the resources, facilities, instructors, tool and equipment, qualifications, and co-op training. And similar to others, tools and equipment depends on what you're teaching. The evaluators who come out, the assessors, will make those determining factors if you have everything that you do need. Cooperative training, are you working with other, industry people, contractors, wholesalers, different people to get your students placed and for them to be part of your advisory board. All right? You're going to compare your courses with the PAHRA standards. All right? Sometimes it's a little confusing, but most of the time it will make sense to you. All right? Don't let that scare you. The most important goal you have is to establish that you actually incorporate PAHRA objectives into your curriculum. And so, how do you verify that? I hope people don't keep seeing this audio warning that keeps popping up on mine. All right? The following requirements of PAHRA is compared to the objectives of a list of AHRI curriculum guide that was developed by the industry for the industry and is constantly going through job task analysis and revamping. It's in its revamping stage right now for 2012 release of some of the new competencies that we see, especially with green and a few of the other things that are being pushed. The courses, the syllabus, the outlines, projects, capstones, lab competencies, textbooks, lesson plans, all, are some of the examples of the areas that will be covered. Okay? One of the important things is to have and to make sure you document the objectives or the areas that you're applying for are complete. All right, one of the problems we do have is that we get so much incomplete stuff that we have to send it back to the school and have it redone. All right. Step 4, again, is to complete your self-study evaluation. You return it to PAHRA along with other required materials. You will receive a checklist of items that need to be returned. PAHRA will check the documentations for any missing information and contact you for a possible date for the on-site visit. At that point, you are assigned an assessor. The assessor will now take over after the review committee has checked your self-study evaluation and all the paperwork that you put in, and then one of our on-site evaluators will be giving you a call to line up the next step of when it's going to happen and what they will need. Okay? One of the problems I see all the time is when the day comes for that visit, all right, make sure you have all your supporting material and everything that you've put together. The whole team needs to be able to review it. Our team is made up of a site evaluator or the site team leader, people from your advisory board, all right? Some of the local people in the area are used that know your program and work with you, all right? And probably the thing that I think is important for me, and that's relax. Don't be nervous, all right? Most of you, by the time that stuff comes and an evaluator comes out, you are prepared. You have something to show off and something to be proud of. So, please don't hesitate to be, I'm ready and that I do have a good program, and let our evaluators go there. Again, here's something that one of our schools, this is what came back from Tom, who is the dean there, and he said, if you say you are what you are, then prove it. You don't go play baseball without trying to hit a home run. Don't stand back from the plate and bunt. PAHRA is an opportunity to hit the home run. Again, these things keep popping up. I'm sorry. If you talk the talk, then walk the walk and aim for the home run. The hard part isn't hitting the home run. It's stepping up to the plate and looking the pitcher in the eye. And I think Tom was 100% correct. This is something that I think is very important. All right. Now, I've talked, again, I'm trying to get to a point where we can answer the direct questions you might have, but these are the associations that is part of the PAHRA family. It was put together by these associations, It's a nonprofit that's run by these associations to ensure that all aspects of the HVACR industry is covered. We have the Air Conditioning Contractors of America, the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute, which used to be ARI, and ARI and GAMA joined forces, the Gas Appliance Manufacturers Association, a couple of years ago, and we became the Air Conditioning, Heating, and Refrigeration Institute. All right. The American Society of Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Engineers, ASHRAE, CARE, the Council of Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Educators, HARDY, the Heating, Air Conditioning, and Refrigeration Distributors International, the Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling Contractors National Association, PHCC, RSES, the Refrigeration Service Engineering Society, NATE, the North American Technician Excellence, and ICE, the Industry Competency Exam. This was the group of associations that got together to form PAHRA to try getting the industry requirements out to the schools. In conjunction with that, I know Tom and myself are very active in a number of different things, and and I heard that Ed saying the same thing. We're active with ACTE, CTE Foundation. A number of us just came back. Tom Tubby and I just came back from being at Skills USA. So all of us are very well into the industry, as well as education, to try providing the best thing that we can to improve the HVACR industry. At this point, I'd like to turn it over so that we can answer, any one of the three of us can answer questions. I know I'm pretty close to the end of my time. Larry, back to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Warren. And, since you mentioned that you and Tom, and I know Ed was also at Skills USA, I just want to thank all of you, as well as any of you instructors out there who did participate. If there's time, certainly like to see what kind of feedback you might have received from the students, regarding their career pathways. So, I am now going to open up the session for any questions, and maybe if it's all right, I'll start off with the first one. Given that your three organizations have, the opportunity to view such a wide variety of programs across the U.S., can you tell us something about, again, the number of HVAC programs nationally, and, what's kind of their general health, if you will, at this time? Is kind of the number kind of declining slightly due to this economy? Are they holding steady?
Larry, this is Tom Tebby.
Sure.
As I said earlier in the presentation, we've exceeded the 150 mark as far as accredited programs throughout the country, and the number of applications has escalated in the last year and again this year to the point where it's almost becoming difficult, which is good, to keep up with the number of applications. The economy did not seem to have any effect on the accreditation. It is really blossoming right now. I would like to say that it's very important for the accrediting body to obviously evaluate what they're doing across the country, and I would like to say that this is why, from time to time, working with professional organizations and getting feedback from the visiting team members that we have, we evaluate the information, and one of the reasons we tightened up and made Standard 9, which is instructor credentialing, a little bit more demanding, is because we found out that the schools that did have some difficulties in areas that had to be addressed, the programs were being taught by individuals that had a wealth of field experience, very knowledgeable people, but they themselves did not have benefit of formal training, and it seems to dramatically affect the attitude and the performance of the instructor in the class. So we did tighten that standard as a result of that. So we're continually evaluating the process in order to, make sure that the schools are providing the best possible education and training for these entry technicians, not only for the sake of the industry, the contractors, the manufacturers, but also for the individual, because it's their careers that we're working with. So right now, all I can say is accreditation has really taken off in the last year to year and a half.
This is Warren. Yeah, I have to agree with Tom. I mean, we've seen an upswing too. We're not as large as HVAC Excellence. We're up to 51 schools, but I do have to say that I have 9 schools that we have their information in here, and they're either lacking something or, we're waiting to send the assessors out there. Plus, we've gotten about 9 or 10 that are sitting here that we have the applications, but we do not have their self-studies yet. So we are seeing an increase in schools looking for accreditation, and I think we're going to continue to see an increase. Similar to Tom, we're seeing where instructors that they're using in some cases have minimal amount of teaching experience. They might have all the field experience that they can possibly have, but their teaching experience is a little low. I think one of the things that we as an industry try helping with, and that is that in a lot of cases the schools can't afford to keep their equipment updated and everything, so we work with industry to try making sure schools get updated equipment and keep them full, keeping their labs as updated as possible and going after local distribution and contractors and asking them to get more involved with their schools. So, yeah, I think we're going to see an upswing with the amount of schools that get accredited.
And Ed, what about you and what NCCER is doing? Okay. Maybe Ed has stepped away from the mic.
I'm sorry. I'm back. I had my I was just talking to my phone. It was on mute. So I echo what they're saying in the sense that now with the accountability, and I'm going to say that, years ago, career and technical programs, the old vocational programs, they weren't what they are today. And I say it in presentations all the time that years ago, if you could keep a kid out of trouble and eligible for football, you had a pretty good career and technical program. Those days are gone. You have to have a program that you have a credential tied to it. Those are the accountability measures that are changing career and technical education. And I'm fortunate as these two gentlemen, I get to give speeches all over the country and get to visit with great programs. And what I find when I go to a program that isn't as good as it can be, I always ask 2 questions. I say, do you have a good advisory board and do you have good industry partners? Invariably, the ones that aren't good don't have either of those or don't have good ones. The programs that are great have great industry partners, and I'm talking about people that are engaged, people that give them good guidance and support, and they have industry partners that can, as Warren was saying, keep those tools up to date, keep them current, help that instructor with career shadowing and job shadowing and guest lectures, those types of things. So I encourage anyone that has a program to make sure that it has a credential tied to it and get very engaged with your industry partners as far as getting them in there to help you, but also to advise you.
Good point. Let's see, I don't see any hands up so far, but I'm sure someone's got a burning question that they just have to get off their chest. So, it's fine at this point if someone just even wants to jump in right over the phone.
I'd like to ask a question if I could.
Sure, and this is?
Joe Hamill, Laughlin Technical Center in Milton, Florida.
Great, go ahead, Joe.
Ed, good to hear you again. I appreciate your visit to us a couple years ago. Question. What's the difference between what we're talking about here with programmatic accreditation and what the Council on Occupational Education already requires? The COE part of SACS.
Well, is that directed at me, Joe, or?
Any shotgun approach.
Yeah, I'll take that for us. You know, that SACS review is always an important component of funding coming from the state and feds. For us, you know, we understand that the SACS review is an important component of it, but for us, our audits and our review is to make sure that it meets industry standards as well as the standards that you have for your county, your state, your federal requirements for funding. Those are important, but for us, that program has to meet the standards. For example, Joe, you're a classic example. I know your program. You come out of that program and that student is 17, 18 years old and they get the blue wallet card. Our audit ensures that NCCER wallet card that they come out of high school with at Laughlin Tech is the exact same quality and integrity that a 35-year-old apprentice that's at Fluor, Shaw, B&K, KVR, or any of the others, an ABC, an AGC association member, that guy is a professional. They're working every single day. Your card has to have the same integrity as their card. That's why the audit's important to us.
Okay, I understand. But so much of what I've seen from HVAC Excellence, for example, I just glanced at their documentation a little bit back, trying to figure out what we need to do here at Laughlin Tech. Seems to be a redundancy of what COE requires. That you do have advisory committee, that you do, verify the minutes and their input of that advisory committee and how it affects the school's operations, so forth and so on. As one of the gentlemen said earlier, it's a mountain of paperwork that really seems to be a lot of duplication of others. What's the chances of y'all embracing COE or having them come and look at y'all and incorporating that into their world, so that we're not only looking at just the accreditation of like SACS, Southern Association of Schools and Colleges, but industry also.
Okay, this is Tom Tebby with HVAC Excellence.
Mm-hmm.
As I said in the beginning, standards 1, 2, 3, and 4 do mimic to a large extent what one would expect to see in an institutional accreditation such as COE. And there's a reason why that is in there as part of the HVAC Excellence accreditation, and that is we have to be assured that the program is receiving the financial support. You can't just do the program alone. You have to have the financial support, the placement services, the evaluation, of the students entering the program, and standards have to be set. So that part does mimic quite a bit. As I said, standard 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9, and having been one that went on many COE visits and a former COE of the school, there was very little attention given to the actual content of the program by COE, and I'm sure you're aware of that. They don't really visit the documentation, the testing procedures, the delivery system used in the program, the syllabus, and so forth. They mainly are interested in the total operation of the school. Now, let me just say this. COE has recognized this, and they are getting into the idea of adding programmatic accreditation for the different disciplines as either part of their program or working with us, PAHRA, and other organizations to incorporate that in as part of their overall evaluation of a school for institutional accreditation.
Yeah, Tom, you're 100% correct.
Yeah, so as Ed just said, we're more concerned with the actual heart of the program and what's actually taking place within the program, although we do have to address those other areas. It's a lot more intense than what COE would do on an institutional visit.
Gotcha.
And thank you for the question, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Warren, this is Larry. Was there something you also wanted to add?
No, I think they covered it pretty well. And, like Tom said, a lot of this, like the COE areas and everything, the people already have that information available for us, and that's not the areas that we're going to spend a whole lot of time on. But there is a lot more happening where, we're going to be joining forces or looking at helping and working with COE to make sure that the industry area is being covered correctly.
Very good. Is there anyone else out there who might want to add a comment relative to this topic?
I don't know why
All right. Any other questions that someone would like to bring forth?
I got a question for you.
Now, Warren, I think both you and Ed, well, all three of you in kind of various ways have talked, I think, about the various challenges facing our HVAC programs, especially as they attempt to meet accreditation standards. Can all three of you talk about the areas where you do see programs being most challenged and what, again, your three organizations might be able to provide in the way of alleviating those challenges? So, for instance, I think, Warren, you mentioned something about just keeping lab equipment up to date. Yeah, that's a very expensive proposition.
Yes, you're 100% correct. One of the problems that we see when we go into schools is that a lot of the equipment and everything they have is not new. It's old. It's been beat up and everything. And I happen to be lucky enough that the association I actually work for, AHRI, does certification of equipment. So we take equipment that comes out of our labs and we make them available to schools. Whether they're PAHRA accredited or not is not the issue. The issue is we're here to help schools that need to be updated if we have the equipment, and we'll try filling their needs. At the same time, being part of the in our group under PAHRA, being part of Hardy, and Hardy being part of this HVACR industry alliance that I'm involved in, we go and we ask the local wholesalers to try helping. Since schools are cutting back on things, what we do ask of the schools and institution is to come up with an in-kind donation to provide to us, as well as to provide to their school, to show that industry is 100% behind the HVACR industry, is behind that school, and want to see a go of it by providing this in-kind items at no cost to them. And I'm sure others there are doing similar things with tools and everything else.
All right, Tom and Ed, any comment?
Yeah, I'll jump in there, and I agree. I think there's two major issues. One is always funding. As all the programs, everybody is feeling that pain a little bit of monies being cut from programs, particularly career and technical programs. And one of the reasons, I think, for that is those career and technical programs are electives. They aren't a course that you have to graduate. We have it here in Florida that is part of the Gold Seal. If you have the career and technical credits towards your high school degree, you can use that for scholarship funding and those types of things. We have CAPE funding and a variety of others. But just funding in general that's being cut from career and technical programs hurt. And another thing that hurts a little bit, I think, or one of the issues that I hear from instructors, is if we could embed math credits into our career and technical programs. Given that they're electives, a lot of our students come into career and technical programs, and at some point they've had classes where they had to have some sort of remediation, which takes away a semester or a full year that they would fill an elective spot with. So if we could in some way it's some sort of grassroots type of effort to get states and the federal government to understand, the Department of Education, that when students come through these programs, math and science and some of those other integrated have in that curricula and in that training, if we could get a half a credit for math or some of those other science credits, could certainly help not only bring the best and brightest in for our recruiting, but also give that student a leg up as far as getting credits for some of the other required classes in some of those elective classes.
This is Warren, and as Ed had said, some of the things that's happening on a national basis here in Washington, D.C., and that's with the CTE Foundation and ACTE. And we just had our National Leadership Forum just a couple of weeks ago here in the Washington area, and had some key people from the Department of Education, a couple of congressmen, and everything listening, and NCCER and ACCA and PHCC and a bunch of the associations, along with automotive and everybody else, is doing that exact pitch that Ed's talking about to the high-ups in the Department of Education. Arnie Duncan in those areas, the Office of Vocational and Adult Education. That's a lot of conversations that's going on a national basis so that schools possibly can embrace that idea of how important career and technical education is and how students should be attending it.
And Tom, was there a comment you wanted to make?
Yes, I think the question really dealt with how can we help some of the schools. I'd like to go back to what Ed said earlier. One of the most important deficiencies that we have recognized on an accreditation visit is the composition, in some cases, of a poorly organized advisory committee. So we're working very closely, with the schools and making sure that they get, as Ed said, active members, on these committees to not only support the program, but to give the necessary input to the program and be totally immersed and involved in the HVAC program. That's one of the biggest assets that an instructor can have, on their side. Because in working with the advisory groups, and as I said, we always talk to one advisory committee member, and then after the accreditation, at any time by instructors' request, we give them support by doing a teleconference where we can actually be a part of any advisory committee meeting that they have. And one of the issues that constantly comes up, and Ed said it, the industry is changing a lot when it comes to accountability. But the industry also makes a lot of demands, and one of the things that were brought up to the advisory committees, and I'll say I'm talking about HVAC Excellence, is this idea of salary and compensation and incentive programs for these people entering the industry. If we want to attract the best and the brightest into the HVAC programs, we have to look at what the future has for them upon graduation. So we do work with the advisory committees during and after the accreditation, and as Ed really pointed out very well, that's an important factor. We don't want to go back to the old days when the HVAC department had to beg and borrow, but I can tell you, once a program is accredited with a very good advisory committee, whatever the needs of those programs are, those advisory committee members will find a way to make sure that that instructor has that equipment or diagnostic tool on hand. As far as deficiencies in the program, some of it has to do with paperwork like performance testing. Many of the schools don't have an adequate, let's say, instrument in place or evaluation form for actually grading performance tests. And prior to the on-site visit, anything that a school would be missing, we have samples that we can send them that they can tailor to meet their specific needs. Also was mentioned earlier, we encourage all schools to get really active in some type of a co-op program, externship program, OJT program, call it what you will, during the last semester or last quarter that the students in school are in school. this is not only good for to develop a good relationship with local suppliers and distributors, but also with the contractors regarding the quality of the students that you're getting ready to send out there, which is basically, the instructor's product. So we try and get involved in all areas before the accreditation and then after the accreditation, in fact, is complete.
This is Larry. So again, kind of going back to this issue about building up a robust advisory board. And again, I'm relying on all of your observations nationwide. Is it more difficult, say, for a program in more of a semi-rural community college to have the kind of access, say, that a school in a big metropolitan area would have in terms of, finding potential advisors and how, can those particular programs, again, kind of compensate for, maybe the difference in access? And any of you can take that question.
Well, I'll be glad to jump in there. One of the things on advisory groups, it's really interesting. We're in a major college town here at the University of Florida. There's about 55,000 students at the University of Florida and about 16 or 18,000 at our community college. So one of the things that we fight a little bit is every kid is going to college. Every kid's going to be successful in college. And so what we want our advisory group, at least I did with mine, and I had a good advisory group, that it's not an either or. We want kids to go to college to come into our industry. We want them to be the best and brightest. So I wanted to have folks on my advisory committee, not only from business and industry, but also from, the post-secondary programs, so that my students knew that they had far greater opportunity than just that student that was only on an academic track. That's what the advisory group did for me. It advised kids that you have more opportunity. So I think if you kind of take that can be a negative that, if you're not going to college, you're not going to be successful, to that you have an opportunity to go to college, go into industry, or both. And I think those are some of the things that advisory groups can do. I think in the rural areas, advisory groups are very important for that young person to understand that if they take the blinders off, that they can go anywhere in the world, or that they can be successful right there in their local community. So, how the instructor and administration for the school, forms that advisory committee is extremely important to how that end product is perceived. At least that's my opinion.
So is it possible that, say, for a prospective program, that, again, has had a hard time to develop such an advisory board, that, they might be able to look to another accredited program as a model for how they might begin to, build up that robust board? And is that something that your three organizations, would, offer to any of the applicants? Hey, look at so-and-so who's already, part of our program, and some of the hoops that they had to go through to make improvements there.
Yeah, this is Warren. I think, yes. I know that we do with our program is to try giving them as much guidance as possible, put them in touch with people whose programs are very successful, with advisory boards, get permission to give them maybe a advisory board committee handbook that one of the schools have done before. And then the other thing I try doing, and that is getting them on with the Council of Air Conditioning and Refrigeration Educators CARE, which is a small group of educators that some cases they are accredited schools, in a lot of cases they're not, but just give them a peer-to-peer way to speak to others and see what they've done to either improve or, where they've had their ups and downs. And that seems to help quite a bit.
One other thing very quickly. One of the things that I've also found that the advisory committees are far more likely to be engaged and stay engaged if there's a credential involved. I'll use a program that was out in Okaloosa County, Florida. It's out in our panhandle. Years ago, they were struggling with FTE. They didn't have enough students in those programs to really pay their way. And so the new superintendent there, Superintendent Gates, who is now in the state legislature, said, you need to have a credential tied to it, or we'll drop those programs because they don't have enough FTE. So what happened is they then tied credential to every program. If it was a computer class, automotive class, a construction program, didn't matter. Any of the career and technical programs throughout the county had to have a credential tied to it. So it went from those programs struggling to survive to in 3 years they had 1,200 business partners. And it was all because now business partners, advisory committees understand that the product that's coming out meets their standards. It meets an industry standard. So I think if you want to have a good, robust program and you want good advisory committee and you want good, business partners, that's where the credential really is worth gold to them.
Yeah, thank you for making that very important connection. Now, Ed, just a second ago, you were also talking about computer skills. You also mentioned math skills, and certainly technical math has to be an important foundation for any individual to move on through a program successfully. Could you all talk a little bit more about, again, where adequate computer skills may also come into play, as part of instructor certification and or technician certification. And I'm thinking also about, some of the building automation programs that are, popping up, such as our own, and obviously computer skills there go hand in hand with a good understanding of HVAC systems.
Well, Larry, this is Tom Tebby. Let me just say that it's a very important consideration, and it is written into the standards that at least a minimum of one computer with internet access must be available for every 3 students within a program. And in the curriculum, it's also required that an overview or introduction to computer technology be offered to the students, because many of the software programs that are used in training today require knowledge. And also the advisory committees that I've talked with, the members that I've talked with, have insisted that computer awareness and computer skills be incorporated into the program, because they're using smartphones and so forth to download schematics while people are on the job site, and for dispatching and communication. So they definitely want these students to come out with those skills, and HVAC Excellence does have that as a requirement now. We're seeing that more and more of a technology that actually is incorporated in part of an HVACR program. It's very important technology.
Yeah, thank you very much for bringing up, again, just the use of smartphones as part of our day-to-day work process.
Yeah, and I'll second that. For us, and I say it with my students when I taught, and anytime I get a chance to get in front of educators or students, the language we speak in our industry is math. you have to be fluent in math. You have to understand math. You have to see math in a way that is almost three-dimensional. And I think career and technical programs gives that student an opportunity to take what used to be thought of as a two-dimensional process of mathematics and turn it into a three-dimensional process of seeing size, shapes, volumes. And I think career and technical education, and this is where I did it with my programs, where I really partnered with our math program and our math teachers, and we did a lot of team teaching so that our students understood that not only math and how, numbers go together, but the concept of math and how math really works in an applied world. And our world is construction, and that's how you have to apply math for students to get it, to understand it, and quite frankly, to enjoy it. So I think, the math part of it, where a lot of the kids that, the irony of it, come into career and technical programs because they weren't doing well in some of the academic courses, and one of those courses generally was math. And they get into a career and technical program to be successful, you need to do math. So getting that early message across to educators, to students, to parents, that math isn't something that's just an exercise, that it's a process that you have to go through to be successful in our industry is absolutely essential, Larry.
Yeah, this is Warren, and, listening to Ed and Tom, that's 100% correct. I know that on a national basis, talking with education people at the Department of Ed and everything, and the big push for the word STEM, we're showing them that if they take the mathematic part of that and show it to construction-related industry, showing examples of, using it in Ohm's law, using it in measuring ductwork and different things that have to do with our industry, that the student who did poorly in math in a regular school situation does a whole lot better when they know where it is and why they need to know it in the industry that they're looking at. And whether, it's one of the schools that the student goes through, carpentry for a couple of weeks and electricity or whatever it might be, or whether it's a student that stays in there, it's important for them to understand how important math is and how they have to make math important to the student for what they're going to do, not just showing them a bunch of numbers and things that don't make sense to them. And I know that I'm involved in a community college that I'm an adjunct at, and in the program that we have, we've actually taken the math teachers and we've taken their examples and we've changed it to a number of different things. They're still using the same examples, but we're making them put it in there in a formula for, again, either in an Ohm's law type of formula or why they would be doing this, getting superheat and subcooling and other things that it means. And we're having a whole lot of luck here in the Maryland area with the math teachers enjoying doing that. So we just need to find a way of getting that across to everybody in the math department. And when we're dealing with STEM, all the things with STEM is that our industries, especially HVACR, let's face it, is STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We're all part of that.
All right. Looks like we've got a question here from Bill.
Yeah.
Remind us what school you're with.
I'm at Columbus State Community College in Columbus, Ohio.
Very good.
We're a two-year associate degree program with some certificates, one-year certificates that we've thrown in just for the technical side of it for these for our students to get out and start being productive in the work field. What I have found with the way our college is set up, the math department is its own entity. I actually, in my classes that I teach, we break the math all the way down for these students so they know how to work the formulas that they need to work. They know what's going on, and because some of my students can't get into the basic math course because they, when they test out, they're too far down. they don't even test into the beginning developmental math going forward. So I just keep them on the tech side. But what we were doing here is we're switching from a quarter-based system to the semester-based system. We're finding a lot of our programs, we rely on the college, for our computers. If the college says, no, you're not going to get computers, or, yeah, we'll let you have a computer lab for 3 hours a week. That's what I get stuck with. And there's sometimes that when we go and we're trying to ask for things, since we're a small program, the bigger programs throw us under the bus.
And Bill, did you say that you're just in the process of switching over from the quarter to the semester system?
I am actually right now writing syllabi, outlines, and everything.
Okay.
We actually have just sent 7 of our courses to the school board, or not school board, but to the committee here at the college for the CTAG, which is Career and Technical Transfer Agreement, to be CTAG'd with the state of Ohio. So we've never even had that before, and there's no college in the state of Ohio right now that has CTAGs for HVAC.
I see.
I'm probably going about this backwards. I'm waiting to get everything done in semesters to go for my credentialing, my accreditation, but I'm a single-man shop. I have 12 adjuncts underneath me, and it's kind of hard to run everything all at once. We have some students here that have been here for 10 years because they're going part-time.
Right. Well, Bill, this is Larry. Yeah, you mentioned a scenario that's probably very, very common here at Laney College. We have a single full-time faculty member and also a whole slew of adjuncts. And, again, a question for our 3 panelists, right? Do you see, again, the ratio of full-time to part-timers having a serious impact on a program's ability to be accredited?
Yes.
I'd like to just ask Bill a question. Bill, when you put all of these adjuncts that you have under you, are these people that are teaching a night program, or are they part of the full-time 2-year associate degree program?
What it is our certificate programs. We take the classes that are part of our associate degree program, pull out the technical classes, and have developed an 8-program or 8-class certificate to give these students like a residential light commercial certificate so that they can be a 2nd or 3rd year apprentice level out in the career field ready to go. We are aligned with the local sheet metal union, or they use some of our courses for their apprenticeship program, and we have a local company that sends their install helpers to us for their for that program so that they can graduate up to servicemen. So the adjuncts work during the day, come to school at night, and they can teach either we all just teach the technical side, but they teach, it could be a mixed class of students that are going for the associate degree program and students that are going for the certificates.
Let me just say, Bill, this is Tom Tevy. We could probably talk about this. I can see as a single instructor program how awkward this can be for you, and I think you mentioned that you have access to a computer lab, but maybe only for a couple hours a week. What I would like to do is talk to you, because it would take some time, about some things that maybe you could do to enhance the program and achieve some of the goals that I know you would like to achieve. But I don't think I can do it in short order here, so I invite you to give me a call at any time. I'd like to talk with you about that.
Sure.
And Larry, if you don't mind, I'd like to regress for 1 second about advisory committees.
Sure.
I'm doing this to add a little levity to the conversation.
Okay.
All of us on the phone have been HVAC instructors for a number of years, and as important as we all recognize that advisory committees are and the roles that they can play, not only in supporting the school, guest speakers, and as Warren said, all of them should have a handbook as to the duties and responsibilities of the advisory committee. I'd like you to know, Larry, if you haven't experienced this, although you're only required by the federal requirements, if you receive any federal funding, you have to have at least 2 meetings a year. You have to feed them and nurture them to get them to come to the meeting. So that is a problem we didn't address, but I think it's something we're all aware of. So, yes, you do have to cultivate and nurture your advisory committee, because they're very busy, and you have to tell them how important their role is to the school and to the students and to the local industry. I know I always had to feed my advisory committee to get them to come.
Well, yeah. Well, food is a powerful motivator, and yes, we at Laney in January had a ribbon cutting ceremony for our lab, which was finally completed after many years of hard work, and certainly thanks in large part to the donations made by our industry partners. So we felt it was very urgent to recognize that, to celebrate that, and yes, we fed them too. So, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Is there anyone else out there who would like to pose a question here? Since it's rare that we get all 3 of these organizations in the same room at the same time, at least it's rare for me to see that. You know, one thing that Bill from Columbus State also mentioned, I think, early on during the call, and something I asked all of the panelists to address as much as possible today, is where our HVAC programs are heading in terms of energy management issues and how they find their way into the curriculum. And, if it's not too premature, maybe even to discuss how that might be, part and parcel of a school's attempt to define their own objectives for their programs as it leads to accreditation. So Bill, you said that at your school you were seeking to be part of, a green pathway curriculum development, and then basically your school was kind of pushed aside. Is that what I'm taking away from your comment?
Well, what happened was we have the heating and air conditioning program is under Automotive and Applied Technologies group or division. And we have another one that's actually physically across the street from us, workforce development. Workforce development grabbed the bull by the horns and took over the green industry, because they said, we can make money for the college, this is green, this is what we want. They do not even talk to my department, they talk to construction management. And then they came up to me and said, by the way, we put a class in your roster that you have to keep open. And I said, you want to bet? That class, when we go to semesters, does not thrive. It died. And I keep sending them information. I got information from the instructors workshop from Warren and from some of the other people there, and I passed it on. I mean, I brought back probably a couple 100 pounds, well, not that much, probably about 20 pounds worth of paperwork and information that I had, and joined CARE, got the information. I sent that information over to the people that are in charge of the green, and I haven't heard one word. I've actually said, guys, here's some simulators that we could both use. We could share the cost. Both departments could have them. We could share the cost and everything would work. Well, I haven't heard anything from them yet still. And that was, what, March, Warren?
Yeah, it was in March.
So my program has been here at the school since the 70s, and it's never been accredited except through the college. As the college gets accredited by the North Central America accreditation people, we got accredited, and I'm the first. Well, it's been bounced around before. I know one of the gentlemen who's on my board, who's also an adjunct, Richard Wirtz, he bounced it around. And it's just hard because the schools, with the crunch, even though Columbus State is right now the 4th largest college in Ohio. At one time we were the 3rd largest. And that's after OSU and University of Cincinnati and I forget what the 3rd one is now. But they're looking at the numbers. They don't care what it takes. We have to meet number crunching deadlines. And we get the people from the Senate and our representatives coming down to look at us because we're right here 3 blocks from them. They can walk over to see us. And it gets real hard.
So for our panelists, how do you see, again, energy management kind of perhaps, being some means for a program to, access additional funding or what have you?
Larry, this is Tom. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, Tom.
Oh, okay. Let me just make a comment here that inherent to all HVAC programs at this point in the development and the evolution of the programs is the time has become a big factor. There is so much to teach in a relatively short period of time, and technology is training rapidly, and it's almost impossible to incorporate everything that we would like to see into a single HVAC program, whether it's a technical program by nature or an associate's degree program. I don't want to get into any kind of sales, but we're always prompting schools to be innovative and incorporate some green technologies into their program. So without getting into a sales pitch, I would just like to say that if you visit our website, you'll see that we do have a green awareness module that is offered for schools. This is a short-term certification program. The certification is through the Green Mechanical Council, and very shortly we'll be introducing an energy auditing program, which can be a standalone program or it can complement an existing HVACR program. Of course, it would probably require another instructor. It could be used as another exit point. You take so much of the HVAC course as the background information and then branch off into the energy auditing phase. So we're trying to work with the schools on this, but the biggest obstacle every time you add something is the time factor with all of the other things to teach. But they are available and they're on our website, and we do encourage people to take a look at it because it is the future. We know the trends that are taking place in the industry with the contractors, and we want to incorporate this energy auditing, energy efficiency, and evaluation process into the curriculums at some point when it's appropriate.
Yeah, this is Warren, and I have to agree with Tom. And if anybody on this has never seen the Green Awareness book, it's from ESCO Press. It's well worth you getting a hold of and looking through, and looking at how you can bring it in your curriculum, or at least have it available for your students. We're seeing more of energy management and some of this green stuff showing up under workforce development and continuing education, like Bill was talking about. That's a group that seems to be grabbing onto it quite a bit more because there's just not enough time to teach it in the regular classroom. But if the instructors and the programs don't start looking at some of this energy management and everything, it's coming in quick. It's coming into new pieces of equipment coming out there, besides what the utility companies are doing with smart metering and everything. So it's going to become a real important part of curriculum over the next couple of years.
And I'll jump in there too, and I echo what they're saying. And one of the things that makes it tough for educators is, that applied math. When you add something, what do you take out? Do you make the program longer? It used to be important. Do you have to then reevaluate the program? We all have those green, curricula that we're adding that we think are important to not only our industry, but to education. So what you have to do, and I think that's where the advisory groups come in well, and that's where the business partners come in, to help you prioritize on, okay, we want to bring in this green, but what do we have to sacrifice to get that? So I think to do that in a vacuum for an instructor just to say, I think that's a good idea, let's do that, or for an administrator to say, this is what I want you to teach this semester, I think the advisory group, your business partners, are folks that can give you guidance on, let's take this out, let's put this in so that it still meets the needs of the community and the students.
This is Warren. I think Ed hit it on the head. Ed hit it on the head. Sometimes you have to move things around, stick other things in there. So, I would sure hope the instructors kind of watch what's happening in their industry and keep up to it. And, just rearrange sometimes what you can and what you can't do.
Yeah, I think that, at least we've been trying to do here at Laney is to bring those energy management topics into a number of courses across our program curriculum. So that way it is something that can get reinforced multiple times throughout the course sequence, and then also hopefully it also mitigates need to have to drop a course or to drop out too much of a significant topic to make room for a green topic, if you will. So that's our hope, that we don't have to make too many of those sorts of trade-offs, because we're absolutely in agreement that the fundamentals, and we come back to math again, those have to be in place. Irregardless of what time or decade you're practicing as an HVAC technician. Well, in the remaining time that we have, I again, invite any of the folks who might have joined our session late to ask a question. Be sure to hit *6 on your phone if perhaps you're accidentally muted.
Welcome to the CCC Confer Conference Center. For security verification, please enter your passcode followed by the # or hash key. Please hold. Thank you. Your pass, please wait. When you hear the tone, you will be the 13th and join the meeting.
Anybody feel free to jump in.
Well, this is Warren. Part of our requirement is that a group of students, both past and current, be interviewed by the accreditation group that's out there, our site evaluators. We also get a list of particular students and do some phone calls to see how those programs are going. We do that with students, just so that we have a good handle on how that program really is working. So I know that's how we do it, and I think once everybody else answers, I think we can talk about Skills USA as a separate item.
Sure.
Tom Tebby here. We somewhat mimic what Warren is doing here. We definitely hold a conference with all of the students that are present that day and on the on-site visit and follow up with previous students. We also definitely scrutinize all of the student evaluations of the instructional program for a period of 2 years, along with the administrative evaluations, and see what surfaces there. And that's where we are able to ascertain some of the improvements that maybe need to be made in the program that were not addressed as a result of the evaluation. But we are required to basically tell the students what the purpose and the benefits are of accreditation, which we do early in the morning, and then give the students an opportunity to ask questions or make comments regarding the HVAC program, in the privacy of the classroom with the visiting team. So it's very effective, and as Warren alluded to there, that you gain a lot of insight into the program by doing that.
Yeah, I'll follow up just real quickly, Larry, and talk about skills from, that it is absolutely the greatest student organization for career and technical education. 5,700 students competed in 94 crafts. It is absolutely, if you've never gotten a chance to go to the national competition, for anybody that's out there, if you can get out there with a student that's a state winner, if you can get out there as an advisor, go. If you have to wrap a summer vacation around it, Kansas City's a wonderful town, but Skills USA is certainly a group that's worth supporting, not only educationally but business partners. We had our Board of Trustees meeting there this year so that our Board of Trustees could see the great work that Tim Lawrence and his group's doing, and it is absolutely fantastic. So make it a point at some point to get out to Kansas City to see that national competition.
And this is Warren. I have to agree. I have to echo that. It is just a great experience. I will give anybody who's never been there a word of caution. If you see Tim Lawrence coming down, get out of his way because he moves real quick during that week. But it is just an eye-opener to see all these different competitions that's going on and the activity in that town. There, I think, I'm not sure, Larry, I think it's 2 more years, and then we're moving to Louisville or to Indy? Louisville. St. Louis?
Yes.
Yeah. This place has been outgrown, unbelievable, and I'm involved in a couple of different things at Skills, and when you walk from one end of that building around the corner to another building and then down the road to another area, and everywhere you look is students competing in something or a competition going on, it's unbelievable to see. The Skills is one great organization, and if you all are not members of Skills, it's an inexpensive thing to join, and they are just fantastic. I just can't talk enough about how good Skills is and the future of the industries, what Skills has to offer.
Like you get a cardio workout. And Tom, how about you?
Well, I can echo some of the same sentiments that these two gentlemen did. It's probably one of the most. It is the most exciting event that I participate in every year. For people that make comments about the young people of today in the schools, I wish that all of them would have an opportunity, or there was a way to air this, because when you see, as Ed said, on the during the opening session. These 700 students, sometimes more than that, walking in with their blazers, representing their individual state. Chills just run through your bones, and to see their level of competency when they're competing, and the pride that everybody has, and the effort that they're putting forth, it just motivates me to want to keep on going. It's just the greatest event, and we do suggest to all schools that we visit that if they're not participating in Skills USA, we encourage them to do so right away.
Very good. Well, I don't know if there are any other questions remaining out there. It seems appropriate to end on such an inspiring note. So, again, I'd like to thank our three panelists, Tom Tebbe, Warren Lutzen, and Ed Pravat, for providing their time and wisdom today. And I just also want to let everyone know that hopefully by late August we will be offering another webinar in a very similar format, but focusing more on individual technician certification. So thank you all so much for your time, and look forward to seeing you on the web again later in the summer.
Thank you, Larry.
All right, thank you, Larry.
Good job. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate what you did.
Okay. Thanks again. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Bye, all.
Bye.